Hello, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a comedy, drama, family film, Marley and Me. Watch out and take care. John and Jenny, newlyweds, are rushing down the street in the middle of a snowfall. They drink champagne while dipping their feet in the warm water of the bathtub to keep warm. Jenny inquires of John whether the storm will bring them good or bad luck on their wedding day. Before he can respond, she concludes that it is good fortune. John just looks at Jenny and asks her how he got so lucky. She then tells him that it's all part of the plan. After making a joke about why she married him, she tells him that the third step in the plan is to relocate to a warmer location, and the new couple kisses. As planned, the pair relocates to South Florida. Jenny chauffeurs John to a job interview at a major metropolitan newspaper. Arnie, the Sun-Sentinel's chief editor, interviews John, who confesses that his wife is also a writer. Jenny will be waiting for him when he exits the building. He informs her he got the job after first sulking. Jenny then tells him about the next step, which is house hunting, which he finds exciting. The couple has settled into their new house and reads each other's articles first thing in the morning. John observes that Jen's piece has received a lot of attention in the press. Jen questions him about the major piece he wrote as he flips through the Sun-Sentinel, and he notices that it was cut out. Jen reassures him and compliments his article. Soon after, she shifts the subject by throwing away a dead plant and asking how she can care for a baby when she can't care for a plant. The following day, John informs his friend Sebastian that Jenny might be thinking about having children. He informs John that the issue is the spare room in their home. Sebastian suggests getting a pet to stave off baby fever. He also informs him that he would be traveling to Colombia to cover a story and recommends that John purchase a Labrador because they are easy to train. Jenny is led blindfolded to a puppy store and is surprised when they arrive. When she meets a group of puppies, her heart is drawn to one in particular, who keeps staring at her and appears to be quite gentle. The seller informs them that they can have the puppy for a lower price. Jenny refers to him as their clearance dog. Jenny needs to depart quickly for a business trip and asks John if he can look after the puppy. He tells her that everything will be okay and even expresses envy that she will be reporting a major tax evasion issue. Jenny reminds him that they still need to name him. While driving home, John tries out a few different names, but none of them stick. Then he turns on the radio and hears a Bob Marley song. The dog appears to enjoy this song, and John names him Marley. Once inside, John feeds him and remarks on his voracious appetite. He brings Marley to the garage at night, but he can't sleep because of the barking, so he decides to bring Marley inside. The room is a shambles in the morning, so John departs. When Marley goes to pick up Jenny at the airport, he returns to the garage. As John arrives at the airport, a hurricane is raging. Jenny rushes inside the car and inquires about the puppy. When the couple gets home and opens the garage door, they are astounded by its state. Marley had ruthlessly damaged it, and they couldn't believe such a small puppy could cause so much damage. Even flex tape couldn't repair it. One afternoon, John spends time with Sebastian, who has just returned from a mission in Colombia. While speaking with him, John muses on the reality that he isn't doing anything worthwhile. Sebastian motivates him, and two girls come to pat Marley. When one of them pulls him up, he bites her and flees across the beach. A stranger eventually captures him and instructs John to keep him on a leash until he is trained. They decide to send Marley to a dog trainer as he grows older and continues to be unruly, even stealing turkey on Thanksgiving and fleeing across the neighbor's yard. The next day, Arnie invites John to write articles, which he initially resists. Arnie then persuades him by listing all the benefits, and John reluctantly agrees. Marley wreaks havoc throughout the class and is eventually booted out when he dry humps the trainer's leg. This episode became the first topic of John's column, and the readers loved it. Over the next 6 months, John will be writing about happenings in his daily life, much of which will revolve on Marley's antics. When John and Jenny are walking Marley on the beach one day, they decide to grow their family. They start trying as soon as they get home. After a few months, John is having lunch with Sebastian when he tells him about his new job. Sebastian's freelance work for New York Magazine impresses John. As he speaks with him, he realizes that if he postponed the baby plan, he could do the same. When John gets home, He tries to convince Jenny that they should wait a little longer with the baby. Jenny notifies him that she is pregnant after listening to him. John and Jenny are anticipating their first sonogram with bated breath. The doctor checks her several times before phoning a senior doctor, who informs them that she has miscarried. As they drive home, John recommends they spend a few days in Ireland. Jenny sobs uncontrollably after taking a seat. Marley and John are still by her side. The couple is prepared to leave and has hired a sitter for Marley, Debbie. Jenny has left Debbie a message with instructions for dealing with Marley. Marley is an energetic dog, so be sure to keep the toilet lid closed, or better yet, the bathroom door in general, and try to take him for a run or a stroll every morning. You may sleep soundly at night knowing Marley is a good watchdog. Finally, don't let Marley climb on any furniture or chew on anything other than his toys. Otherwise, enjoy him. When the couple returns, Debbie tosses the file at them and vents her rage, claiming that there were 11 thunderstorms while they were gone, that the house is a wreck, and that Marley is something wicked with a dog face. As she walks out the door, Jenny falls pregnant again a few days later and gives birth to a baby boy, Patrick. Jenny and John are discussing about their lives before the child one evening when they hear a scream outside. John rushes over to investigate and discovers that his neighbor has been stabbed. This occurrence drives him to relocate to a safer neighborhood. He travels through a fancy neighborhood and notices a property he likes. When he returns home, he informs Jenny is aware of it. Jenny notifies him that she is pregnant again before he can say anything else. She even tells him that she is quitting her work this time to be a better mother. John requests a rise from his boss, who only agrees on one condition, that he can accept the job permanently. John agrees and relocates to a nicer neighborhood. Everything appears to be ideal with their new son, Connor, but Jenny finds it difficult. She eventually becomes tired of Marley's disobedience. The kids are always shouting, and she is always tired. She is unable to find a babysitter since everyone is terrified of Marley. When John returns home, she gives him an ultimatum, either the dog or she. To defuse the situation, he brings the dog to Sebastian's house, where Sebastian reminds John to return the dog in 2 days because he has a job at the New York Times and will be relocating. When John returns home that night, Jenny apologizes to him and even asks him to return Marley. They both realize their errors and agree not to have any more children for the time being. After a few years, the Grogans have a new addition, a baby girl called Colleen. When greeting Jenny and the newborn baby, Connor, proclaim that the baby's name is Whoops because Dad instructed them so. They take a picture after John reveals that it was all a prank. After a few months, the Grogans are finally living a happy life. When the phone rings, they are throwing the ball around the pool. It's a call from Philadelphia Inquirer, says John. When he returns to the pool, he informs Jenny that he has been hired as their new reporter. John swiftly adds that he will not take the offer because business is thriving in South Florida. John takes Marley to the beach on his 40th birthday and chooses to set him free for the first time. Marley instantly dives into the sea, and as other dog owners see Marley having fun, they let their dogs go as well. For a little while, everything is okay, but suddenly Marley pees, and everyone is disturbed by his behavior. John rushes up to him and pulls him out of the water, but it's too late. The harm has already been done. Jenny has planned a surprise birthday party for John, which he arrives home to find. He's sitting by the pool after the party when Jenny asks if he was surprised. She then kisses him and informs him that he has been granted permission to take the job in Philadelphia. The next day, John quits his job, and his supervisor becomes distraught as he walks away. The Grogans travel to their new home in Philadelphia, which is larger than their previous one. The first thing Marley does when they arrive is break a decoration. John's new job requires him to write serious essays, but his supervisor is not impressed. He wants John to write with more facts and fewer views. When John returns home, he is tackled on the porch by his family members, and Jenny invites everyone inside for dinner. As John and the kids climb the stairs, they realize that Marley has lost his vigor. After walking inside, John informs Jenny about his boss's comments and even says how much he misses his previous employment. Jenny, who is generally understanding, ultimately encourages him to figure out what he wants and be content with it. She informs him that her life is also not what she expected, but she likes it just the way it is. When John lets the dog out at night, a sudden storm breaks out, and they go seeking for Marley. After exploring around for a bit, John discovers him curled up behind a tree, apparently ill. He takes him to the veterinarian, who tells John that Marley's stomach is twisted. She braces John for the worst, saying that this occurs all the time, and that even if he recovers, he will soon experience another stomach twist and may not survive. John attempts to persuade the vet, or rather himself, that Marley is unlike other dogs, as he recalls Marley swallowing an answering machine. When John returns home, he notices Jenny reading cutouts of his columns. She claims that Marley appears in several of them and that they are enjoyable to read. Those paragraphs had the capacity to lift her spirits even on her darkest days. Jenny even suggests to John that they make a book out of them at some time before she goes to bed. In the morning, John receives a call informing him that Marley is okay and that he may take him home. When Patrick and Connor get home from school the next day, Marley greets them. They rush after him to the house. A few days later, John and his co-worker are walking to work when Sebastian yells his name. He comes to a halt to greet a former co-worker. They initially discuss business, but Sebastian immediately changes the subject and inquires about his family. John informs him that he lives outside of town and gives him a photograph of them. Sebastian compliments him on his gorgeous family, and they even joke at Marley's infamous incidents together. When John gets home, he notices Marley is down and decides to take him for a stroll. They choose a beautiful spot to sit, and John instructs the dog to give him a sign when it is his turn. Jenny and John come to check on Marley late at night as he is sleeping in front of the fireplace. When John notices that he is at ease, they decide to cover him with a blanket. The following day, John attempts to persuade the chief editor to give him his own column. His supervisor reminds him that he left his position as a columnist to pursue a career as a serious reporter. John informs him that the job is not for him and that he would be much better off writing columns. They are mid-conversation when a colleague informs John that his wife is on the phone and that it is urgent. When John returns home, Jenny informs him that Marley has been resting in the same spot since the morning and is getting increasingly unresponsive as time passes. Patrick cries and says bye before hugging him as the kids gather around him. Colleen hands him her sheep figurine and requests that Marley not eat the other ear. John is waiting in the clinic corridor when the vet notifies him that Marley's stomach has twisted again. She informs him that no other way will work and that surgery is his only option. John informs her that Marley is too elderly and frail to undergo surgery. The vet then leaves them alone for a few moments. Marley is told by John that he is the best dog in the world, and that they never intended to call him the worst dog ever. After saying his goodbyes, John informs the doctor that it is time for Marley to leave. Marley gently closes his eyes after all these years. Marley appears on each of the children's old cassettes of themselves. Colleen and Connor have created a drawing and written their speeches. When Patrick's chance comes, he simply states that Marley already knows. Jenny resolves to give Marley the necklace he once swallowed before John can bury him. As John walks towards the house, he explains why the man-dog relationship is the finest. Before walking inside, he sees his family, and Marley had an important role in making this family a reality. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.